there, comic book friends. I'm Travis. It's time for an edition of What the Fugue, where I talk about what's going on with me in my week of comics. How's it going, everybody? It's gonna be that time of the year. Anyway, let's see. Let's talk about some comic book stuff. Plans for the coming time. I'm thinking 2 weeks from now. That would be around December 27th. That's a Saturday. Comic Book Roundtable. I don't know who's going to be there, it being right after Christmas and whatnot. My plan is for that Comic Book Roundtable to have that be an end of the year roundtable. So I'm hoping we can kind of all get together and maybe kind of do a best of instead of the week's worth of comics. You know, what was the great stuff that happened comic book wise over this last year. Talk a little bit about that. Partially due to the fact is that I'm working that Saturday and the Friday after Christmas, so I don't really have a whole lot of time to read my current books for one thing. Plus the fact that I think it'd just be fun. It'd just be fun to give an opportunity to just talk about what went on for the year, what was the big news of the year, what was the great stuff, what was maybe the bad stuff, and just have a general good time. We'll bring some punch and we'll bring some pie, and we'll just have a good time, right? So you're all invited. If you want to be on the show, get a hold of me. We'll see if we can get an invite sent out to you, get you on the show. I don't care if we have 10 people on the Hangout. Does not matter. Especially you people who've been on the show before. Let's get together and have a celebration. For those of you who don't want to be on the show or can't be on the show, send me your best stuffs. What's the best series of 2014? What was the best comic? The one best comic? What surprised you in comic book wise in 2014? What was the big regret book that you didn't jump on, maybe? Or what's the book you really wish you wouldn't have spent the money on that you spent the money on? That sort of thing. Let's just kind of get together, have a hangout, and talk about that stuff. Talk about whatever. Whatever books. I'm sure we'll talk about the week's books too. But I kind of want to make it something else along the lines of that. So also speaking of Comic Book Roundtable, of course, again, this week, Saturday, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern Time. We'll be talking some comics. Not sure who all will end up getting on the show. Last week's show was great. Finally got Jen, a comic book girl, back on the show. It's been quite some time, it seems like, since we've had her on. So hopefully we'll get her back on again soon. Have a good time talking some comics with whoever I can get on to talk comic books with me. Speaking of talking of comics, here lately I've had some really great conversations about comic books and comic book creators and what we like and what we attribute to being a good creator. I've had kind of a ongoing conversation with T-Bird and the Mustache. Oh, I'm gonna draw a blank on his name. Mustache, comic book Mustache. Horrible, I can't remember people's names, huh? It's like people can't remember Rob thoughts, right? The comic book Mustache. New to me as far as a reviewer going on. Had some interesting conversations about some of that, different things along the lines of why does or my own brain kind of stems out of this conversation around the Secret Six, and why do we say we like a writer or an artist or whatever, and some of the stuff we attribute to making them a great whatever, and maybe like in my case, I've now discovered that I need to be more careful about how I describe why I like a writer or whatever. Because in some cases, maybe the writer is liked because of what they represent, or that sort of thing. What they represent. What word I want to use? what they're championing in their writing maybe makes them a fan favorite, even though maybe they don't have the best writing chops, as it were. And both reasons I think are valid reasons to be a fan of a creator. Just like clearly, the more I think about it, there are creators that I am not fans of, even though they have produced some great stuff. I'm not fans of those creators because those creators actively pursue stuff that I personally don't care for, and that sort of thing. And of course, clearly there's writers who don't put any kind of agenda or like that out there or in their work or whatever, and that's fine too. But I don't think there's a problem with being a fan of either one. But you might want to define what that is. You don't have to, but in the case of the Secret Six, we would talk about it and about Gail Simone and whatnot. And I love Gail Simone. I think she's great. She's a great person to talk to. I think she's incredibly kind-hearted. I think that she comes across as caring about the minority communities, which I think is awesome. She pursues that in her work, and you can either consider that an agenda, or depending on what your view of it is, depends on I think on how you feel that is. For me, I think it's great. That I know I'm gonna pick up a Gail Simone book, and chances are they're gonna slip in a minority of some sort somewhere in there, and not as a gimmick. I guess you could see it as Gail is that's her shtick, but I don't think it is. I think she's putting that stuff in there because those of us who care keep saying we need more diversity in our comic books. She's heard that, and she's going to put that in her books, and I love her for that. Some of her current work, I don't know that it's as strong as some of her prior work was. There's some stuff of hers that I absolutely love to death. And for the time that it was written in, I think it was excellent stuff, and I still think it's great stuff. But it could be considered fair criticism that a certain amount of the fan base is so wrapped up in that part of it, in the representing minorities, that they maybe give the work more of a pass, not be as critical of it as, say, we might be of Scott Snyder or Dan Slott, somebody who doesn't seem to be projecting that hasn't made it a vocal point of saying, I want more of this in my comics and pursuing that. So I just thought it was interesting. It brought up an interesting conversation. It was interesting to me, and I was just thinking about the fact that there's lots of reasons why I like a lot of the different creators, not just in comics and in all walks of life and entertainment. Why I like some of those creators, even if I don't like their work as much, solely for the work. I enjoy the work because I enjoy the person who's producing the work and what they're about. So, in the same way that there's stuff I don't care for because I don't care for all that stuff. Just an interesting thought. Just something that's kind of come up in the last couple of days and whatnot, and I've enjoyed the conversation and enjoyed thinking about it and what that all means and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I was thinking there was some other great earth-shattering news or something or other, and for the life of me now, I can't remember what it was. Oh, I saw some numbers, this DC Convergent thing that's coming up, that the numbers that's thrown out there right now is $365. $365 to get all the Convergence things, the Convergence, DC's Convergence title, and the spin-offs off that for those 9 weeks that those books are going to come out. No discount, $365 for whatever that's worth. Now I'm trying to figure out what the numbers are for Marvel's whole Secret War, thing that's going to be coming out too, because I know a lot of people are going to say $365 and freak out over the amount of money that is, and I'm not spending any money on that or whatever. But I don't know if that's incredibly unreasonable. I don't know. It's a number to me. So, but I am curious as to what like a full-blown Marvel event would cost you too if you're going to pick up all the stuff. Because I haven't seen that anywhere yet. So I have to figure it out for myself because I'm pretty sure it was a Marvel fanboy I saw that was giving me the numbers on the DC thing and was being critical of those numbers. So that will be interesting to check that out and see what that's going to be like also. Yeah, anyway, I can't think of anything else. I don't think there's anything else that's going on in my week of comics. I have... my comics came late this last week, and of course when that happens, then I resort to things like eBay and stuff like that out of frustration. I did make some pretty decent purchases. Looking forward to getting those books. Hopefully I get them at the end of this week. If I get them by the end of this week, then maybe next week, the next What the Fugue I Do, I'll show those books maybe. So yeah, excited about that. And I'll see y'all on the weekend for Comic Roundtable. Have a great time, everybody.